Good afternoon from Annapolis, Maryland. My name is Doug Davidoff. I am the founder and CEO at Imagine Business Development, and I want to thank everybody for taking their time out of the day today to spend here to learn a little bit more about how to build a powerful tech stack that can accelerate sales growth and lower costs. I hope wherever you're listening, whether you're listening to the webinar live or our on-demand version, that you're enjoying a day that's a little bit brighter and a little bit nicer than we're experiencing out here in Annapolis, Maryland, where it's cold, sleeting, and cloudy. But enough with the weather. Let's talk about one of what is probably the hottest topics in sales, marketing, demand generation, whatever space that you want to talk about. And that is the issue around building a tech stack, a growth stack, leveraging technology, whatever you may call it. Before we talk about the world of tech today in sales and marketing, let's take a step back and really think about what's the environment that we're in today. What are the challenges that we're facing today? The first, which is, beyond debate, people don't even talk about this anymore, that it's so understood, it's almost become like the water. And that is that the buyer has simply seized control of the process. As sellers, we're constantly working harder and harder to be in a strong position in a world where buyers have grabbed power and control. What I think is actually an even bigger trend than that is that the status quo and good enough are now our biggest competitors. It used to be enough to have something a little bit better, be able to do something a little bit faster, save a little bit of money. The reality today is that so many products and services are so good that most people have more solution, frankly, than their customers need. And so as a competitor, as someone looking to grow a business, you can't just be good enough. You really have to be able to do something for someone better than anybody else in the world. And if you don't do that, you're going to fall into what I like to call the Me Too category. You're going to get commoditized and business is going to be tougher and tougher. We're seeing more and more competitors in our markets, more and more competitors being smarter, and net they're fighting for shrinking profit pools. Internally, costs of growth are accelerating. Companies that we thought had figured it out and were growing at astronomically low relative costs are seeing their cost structures grow significantly. And by virtually any metric, when we look at growth and success rates, whether we're looking at business, sales, or marketing, we're seeing those rates decrease. And so we're seeing costs of impact increase while the net impact is decreasing. We are literally paying more and more for less and less, hoping that we can make it up with velocity and volume. Now, the good news is if you use technology correctly, built into an overall approach to your demand generation process, you can reverse the tide. And that's really what the focus of our program is going to be today. How can we leverage technology to be able to address these issues? How can we make better, smarter technology decisions to drive the results we're looking for? Now, we're going to be going through the program today. I want to offer, if you have questions as we're going forward, feel free to put them in chat. I'll try to address them as we go through it. We will have a period at the end of the program for Q&A if you have any questions that you would like to share. Let's get into the core program now. When we think about what we need to be able to do to scale our business, to grow predictably, sustainably, and scalably, you're going to see that there are basically three pillars for sustainable growth. We need a strong infrastructure combined with product and message market fit, matched with sales and marketing optimization. When you think about those three areas, those three pillars are going to be the driver to how fast and how sustainably you can grow. We're going to focus on a core element of the infrastructure pillar. And when you think about your infrastructure, there are basically three key parts to the infrastructure: data, metrics, and analytics, database structure, and technology. Those three items working together build that solid infrastructure so that you can take advantage and exploit that product and message market fit and your sales and marketing capabilities. You want to think of it this way. Data, metrics, and analytics create actionable insights when fully aligned with strategy. Segmentation enables you to take the right action with the right person. And technology, when it's properly used, creates acceleration and lowers cost. And that brings us to the riddle that we face when managing technology in sales and marketing and making decisions around our tech stack. And that decision is, what's the role of technology going to be in your demand generation approach? Is it a toy or is it a tool? And I'm just going to be candid here. Far too often, it's a toy. You need to be looking at technology through the prism of a tool really designed to drive one key result. And that result is acceleration. Technology enables you to do things faster, higher velocity, higher volume, higher capacity. Technology does not fix anything. What technology will do is take whatever you've got and make it faster. Now, it will give you the capability to design things to improve your process. But simply bringing in technology to a poor process or a process that's not fully defined, the net result of that is you will accelerate chaos. Garbage in, garbage out. Crap in, crap out. If you've got a crappy process, if you've got a crappy message, if you've got a crappy sales approach, if you've got a crappy marketing approach, and you add technology to it, you will just put out more crap faster, no matter how good the technology is. View technology through the prism of a tool, and it will become a tremendous asset to you. Think of it this way. Your growth efforts are only as strong as the decisions you make and your ability to execute those decisions. A strong tech stack plays a key role in ensuring that you have the insights to make great decisions so that you can execute powerfully. And the companies that make strong decisions and can move from insights to decisions to action fastest and best see significantly better outcomes than those that are doing just average. Higher team attainment of sales quota, higher individual rep attainment, shorter sales cycles, lower cost, faster growth rates. That's why so much attention is being paid to technology. That's why there's so much noise, so much focus, and so much energy going to the technology side of sales and marketing. Now, I want to be clear here. Technology will never be the reason you succeed, but it will increasingly be a reason or the reason you fail to succeed. Now, I'm not the first person to figure that out. The growth of the technology landscape is like two rabbits on steroids have gotten together and gone to town. If you look at this diagram, I laugh when I look at this diagram of the marketing technology landscape, because if I saw this diagram today, I would go, oh my God, wow, that's a lot. How can I make sense of all that? This was the first technology landscape graphic created by Scott Brinker, better known as Chief MarTech. It was created in August of 2011. And in 2011, there were 150 logos. It grew to 350 by 2012, to 1,000 in 2014, 2,000 in 2015, 3,500 in 2016. And last year, Scott stopped trying to list every technology on his graphic, and he simply named it the MarTech 5000. In May of 2017, that is almost a year ago, there were more than 5,000 logos comprising the marketing technology landscape. Now, let's be clear here. That's the marketing technology landscape. Sales is working just as hard to catch up. This is the inside sales landscape. This graphic is also about a little bit over a year old. VentureBeat reports that more than $10 billion has been invested in sales and marketing technology startups in the last 2 years alone. Companies are spending more money on sales and marketing technology, but guess what? It's not working. The money that we're spending on technology is not working. Research done by CEB identified that on average, companies are spending almost $5,000 per rep more on technology. And the net impact is they're seeing a reduction in sales conversion by 12%. We're buying technology because it's supposed to make us better. And what we're seeing is worse results. And the reason for that is because we're not being smart about how we're utilizing technology. We're not hiring technology for the right reasons. We're not implementing it for the right reasons. We're not designing it and monitoring it for the right reasons. If you take nothing else from this program today, the single most important thing to remember when it comes to your approach to how to look at technology and how to build your growth stack is don't fall for the crowd. This entire industry is built on FOMO. Every sales and marketing technology provider that I've seen in the last year is selling more than anything else the fear that you're going to miss out. Let me emphasize, no single piece of technology is going to be the reason that you succeed or fail. Right? So if you're feeling like, oh my God, I got to jump on a piece of technology or I'm going to be lost. Yeah, that's not it. And I have to admit, sometimes I say that. I say, if you don't get this technology, you're going to fall behind and you're not going to be able to catch up. And what I'm really saying is if you don't implement this process, then you're going to fall behind and you're not going to be able to catch up. And technology is often something that allows you to take advantage of opportunities and to create processes that you couldn't achieve before. But don't let fear of missing out drive your technology decisions. That's when technologies become toys. Be very disciplined. Realize the key reasons and the key roles that you're utilizing technology for. Here's how we look at technology and the role of technology. We view it as an important piece of what we call the customer acquisition platform. And so if you look at these blue boxes, what you'll see is basically the customer acquisition process. Define our customers, generate leads, create penetration in the market, manage those leads, convert the leads, move them to the sales process, optimize for the whole. So we build feedback loops, make sure that we're building this all on a solid base of data and metrics to guide our actions. For this process to work, however, it has to be built on a solid foundation. And the first two parts of the foundation are have a good strategy. Make sure you're clear on what your economic model is, what your sales model is, know where you are in your business life cycle, translate that to your strategy, document your playbooks. By the way, if you're wondering what a playbook is or how can you document a playbook, we actually did a webinar a month ago on how to develop the sales playbook. Send us an email if you want. We'll give you a link to be able to watch that to see where the role of playbooks is here. Now, when you've got a strong foundation, a strong strategy, and you're clear on your playbooks, what's the way that you're going to implement? In essence, what's your how? That's where the tech stack comes to bear. The tech stack is the accelerator. And it needs to be aligned with the strategy and the jobs to be done in each area of your customer acquisition process. Now, understand, the tech stack does not always mean the high tech stack. You can make a decision not to utilize technology or not to utilize advanced technology, and that is a tech stack decision. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that decision. The mistake is to buy tech because everyone else is, or to not utilize tech because you hadn't thought about it. The playbook is your how. The tech stack is your accelerator to drive a strong customer acquisition process, built on ongoing data and metrics to enable you to get greater insights and make better decisions. So let's now talk about how do you build that tech stack. Let's share the focus of this program. What are the 5 rules for building a tech stack that will enable you to accelerate sales growth and lower costs? Here's the first rule. And I would say in terms of the 5 rules, it's the most important rule. And the first rule is you should never, ever, ever buy technology. At Imagine, we never buy technology. We hire it. We hire technology in the same way with the same discipline that we hire people. We take what's called a jobs to be done theory. We're asking the question, what is the job to be done? How do we know if the job is done successfully? And what's the value of that job being done? That's how we decide where and how technology fits. And that's why having a tech stack roadmap for you is important. A good tech stack roadmap will define the key jobs to be done. This is a map that we use. This is how we approach technology today. You're more than welcome to screenshot this, steal it. Actually, if you want an empty graphic of this to be able to fill it in, again, just send us an email. We'll be happy to send it to you. But what you see here is we basically have 9 boxes. We've got a foundation, which I'm going to talk about more in a minute. I'm going to talk about platforms. That's really your foundation. Then you see the key areas of our customer acquisition process: lead generation, lead management, lead conversion, and sales. And then we break that into 2 key areas: the technology responsible for execution and the technology responsible for the analytics and planning of that execution. All right, now within there, we'll get to a deeper level of what's the job to be done. But that's where we start everything out, right? This is what we're trying to get accomplished. We do not want to own technology. We don't want to license technology. My favorite tech stack is the stack with the least amount of technology possible. That is the single best tech stack you can have. You only hire tech, you only hire technology when you have a job that needs to be done, and that technology is the only way or the best way to get it done. And when I say best way, I mean the only way to get it done to the level that you want it to be done. Right? The same reason that you hire people. Right? You don't win any awards because you increase headcount. Right? You win awards because the headcount drives business results. And when you take a jobs to be done approach to how you view technology, you'll never treat it like a toy. You'll make much smarter decisions. You'll make much smarter hiring decisions. And yes, you'll make much smarter firing decisions. We have fired technology in the past. We've put technology on performance improvement programs. This is all a key part of building that roadmap so that you're using technology intelligently to drive results and lower costs. In building out the jobs to be done approach, the second component is get really, really clear on what's the problem that you're solving for. So I see a lot of people jump on technology because they hear it's really hot. Wow, everyone's using it. It's great. This is going to change the world. I'm going to change the game. Okay, those are the people that waste a lot of money on technology. But you are very important because you're the ones that are actually giving these companies the daily average user and the license volume that they need to be able to get the funding to produce their products. You're not really going to benefit from it, but you are an important part of the ecosystem. The smart players think about the solution. They ask the question, what do we want this technology to do? They're really focused on what's the solution here? What can we do with this? They get some benefit from technology. And every now and then they'll hit a home run. But for the most part, technology never delivers the promise. And frankly, it ends up creating more complexity. Their tech stack gets bigger. Their technology licensing fee line item gets bigger. And their costs go up as a result of that. The geniuses, the ones who really get the real ROI from technology, who get the biggest bang for the buck, They focus on defining the problem. What's the problem that we're solving here? And having advised a lot of people on technology decisions, I got to tell you, about half the time when someone feels like they need technology, they're really enticed by the solution. But when we identify what's the problem that really needs to be solved, we either find A, there is no real problem to be solved here, or B, we've already got the pieces in place that can solve the problem. And so we don't need to add to the tech stack to solve the problem. We just have to change the process, change people, change how the existing tech stack might be oriented. The key to making great decisions around technology is getting really clear on what's the problem that you're solving for, far, far more than what's the solution that you're trying to gain. So this is what it looks like, right? When you're getting to the problem, you want to start off and define what's the desired outcome, what would success look like, what's the gap, what's preventing you from achieving that, what are the reasons that you feel like you're not getting that outcome. These are the symptoms and the indicators, and this is where people make mistakes, right? Because we start treating symptoms and indicators, we treat that like it's the problem, and we get really excited about the solution. So we buy it and we never really capture the full benefit from it, because we don't go to the extent of tracing the symptoms and indicators down to their causes. So this is what a real life example would look like. We've got a desired outcome. We want to increase closed deal flow by 20%, right? And not only do we want to increase it by 20%, but we also believe that that's totally possible because we've identified a gap in the middle of our funnel around lead conversion into generating sales conversations and opportunities. And the reason that we've identified that gap, the symptoms that we're pointing to are, we've got strong qualified lead velocity. We should be able to, we should be getting more from the leads that we're creating. We've noticed that our conversion rate from MQL to SQL is below expectations and actually has been trending down over the last 12 to 18 months. Now, this is where I can't give you the answer. This is where you get to the cause, and it's going to be one of three causes. Is this a people problem? Is it a process problem? Or is it a tech problem? The worst thing that you can do is treat one type of problem with another type of solution. Check your process first, check your people second, tech is last. Because if the process and the people aren't working, tech won't fix it. And 9 times out of 10, it'll make it more complicated. Now, if you notice that the process needs to be enhanced, but can't be because you don't have the technology, you don't have the way to implement it at scale, at speed, at velocity that you need it to, then that's a tech problem, right? So you get the tech so that you have the ability, but don't forget you still have to fix the process. And here's the thing I see all the time, and it literally makes me want to cry. I see people all the time invest in tech, invest in great tech, use the right decision mode to get to that tech, but they never fix the process. They buy the tech and they move on to the next thing. And then they complain about the tech. Then they complain about the cost. Then they complain about no one hits quota. Inbound marketing doesn't work anymore, whatever the cases might be. And the reality is it's because we didn't really address the cause. So the second component here is make sure you're clear on the problem that you're solving before you decide on what the best solution is. Now, you may be wondering, what does my golf game have to do with building a tech stack? And I got to tell you, I've only got 2 problems with my golf game, my short game or my long game. Other than that, I'm in really good shape. The same is true when it comes to your tech stack. And this, by the way, is a major shift that we've seen in how we're advising companies on their tech stack over the last couple of years. It used to be enough that, basically you had to pay attention to your short game. You hire technology to solve the problems that you had today. And what you did is you'd go out and you decide which piece of tech would help you solve the problem the easiest at the lowest cost, and you'd move that way. but that's not going to work anymore. Yes, you still need to address the problems of today. You got to make sure you're solving today's problems, but you also have to prepare for tomorrow. And if you're not familiar with a term called technical debt, now is the time to get familiar with it. And basically what technical debt says is it's the price you pay down the road, the significantly larger price you pay down the road because you made the easy decision or the cheap decision today. When you're thinking about your technology and you're building your stack and you're working on that process, you need to be looking at the product, at the company that's building the product, and how it plugs into the overall system to ensure that what you love today isn't going to be a problem tomorrow because you outgrew it. Now, some tech you are going to outgrow, but you need to be prepared for what is that transition plan going to be. And right now we're seeing more and more companies that are getting stuck because the cost of getting out of an old tech decision is getting higher and higher. And they can't justify it for the disruption and the cost of migration. But then the reality is they continue to accept less and less. So they're falling further and further behind, getting more and more complicated. So when you're thinking about your tech today, when you're making those types of decisions and how you're utilizing it, make sure you're thinking about today and how is this going to work in the future. This brings us to the fourth point, the fourth rule. Let's take a look at how the traditional growth stack got built. The traditional growth stack got built because people went out and bought technology to address a specific issue. And what this led to was a lot of random technology. I don't know about you guys, but at one point I probably had to sign into about 7 or 8 different products. And this was before tech was hot, right? This was, 4 or 5 years ago. I had to sign into 7, 8, 9 different products to get something done. And it was a pain. And I would pull reporting from, multiple places to try to edge it together because all of these pieces of technology, they kind of sort of talk to each other, but they were their own silos. The complexity that we're dealing with today, the speed that we have to operate at today, that approach is not going to work. The modern stack is built around a hub and spoke approach. We've got a hub that we call the platform, and then we build our product or application ecosystem around the platform. And one of the important decisions for you to make as a growth-focused organization is what platform are you going to build on? Now, a platform more often than not in sales and marketing is going to be a CRM and or a marketing automation product. It's got to be able to address that core component. What a platform does is it provides, for lack of a better word, a central operating system. Think iPhone and iOS, how it makes all these different things work together. The iPhone in many ways is the ultimate platform. This platform serves as a system of record. So it is your core database, and it enables multiple applications to behave in a common manner, simplifying their use while enhancing the overall performance of the stack in total and the individual apps as well. A platform needs to be built on what historically was called an open garden, meaning that it utilizes powerful APIs and outside products have the same access to the internal functionality of the product that the company itself has. So they build powerful APIs so that third-party applications can build and take advantage of the whole, allowing that tech stack to evolve and grow. Whereas an application or a product is a specialized product designed to work alone or in combination with a platform, and you're using it to solve specific issues. Now, an application may do more than one function, right? But the question is, the platform is what you're building on. That's your foundation. And then that's your hub. And then the applications are what allow you to build the ultimate power in your tech stack, bringing alignment and continuity through the platform. So be sure that you're paying attention to the platform that you choose and how you're utilizing it. And as you build your tech stack, you need to focus on the individual role of the application, but also how does that application connect with everything else? Does the whole get stronger, not just the individual parts? This brings us to the fifth rule. Your tech stack is not static. Technology changes at a rapid pace. Your business changes at a rapid pace. Your customers' needs change. The market changes, and so forth. Be sure that you're reviewing your tech stack on a regular and consistent basis. Conduct performance reviews on an ongoing basis. What did we hire this technology for? What's changed since we hired it? How is it performing in its job? What else is out there now that could do that job better? Can we reduce tech headcount? By the way, when I say can we reduce headcount, I don't mean employees, though that's certainly a question that businesses ask. I'm using headcount in quotes. Are we using 3 apps that there's now a piece of technology where we could use one and get all 3 done just as well as or better? Remember, the best tech stack is the one with the fewest in there. And then the last question we ask is, how is this technology getting along with others? Now, there are times that we use tech in our stack that frankly doesn't play well with others, but it's extraordinarily good at what it does, and we can't replicate it anywhere else. So we're willing to pay the cost of disruption. You know, the good news is we don't really have to ask, is the technology a culture fit? But it's pretty close to that, right? You really need to look at your technology through the same lens that you look at your people, because they both represent capabilities. And when you approach your technology through this prism, you'll make better decisions. You'll have a stronger tech stack. You'll probably pay less for your overall tech stack because you'll see you got some technology that you don't need or can be combined, and you'll drive significantly better results. So let's summarize the 5 rules. Then I'm going to share with you a sample of a growth stack, and then I'm going to go into a few of our favorite things. I'm going to share 7 of our favorite apps. So the 5 rules are: don't buy technology, hire it. Clearly define the problem you're solving. Avoid tech debt. Address today and plan for tomorrow. Build your roadmap. Utilize a platform and apps approach, hub and spoke. And remember, your tech stack is not static. Review your tech stack regularly to ensure that it's driving the results for you and it's positioned for you to succeed. So let's take a look at what this looks like in more of a real life form. Right? Let's go back to our roadmap, our tech stack roadmap. This is our stack. And you see, we use HubSpot as our foundation. I've got Salesforce in there because Salesforce is clearly a major foundational player here. And then you'll see the different logos, the different tools that we use for execution, multiple tools that we're using for analytics and planning. And I want to emphasize something. We've got a pretty advanced tech stack here. What you see here, it's a pretty advanced tech stack. We didn't start off with all of this. At one point, we actually had a lot of technology because I love technology, but we weren't getting much from it. And I ultimately had to admit that I was making that mistake of treating it like a toy and not a tool. And so we really cut back on our tech. And then we began to focus on, let's roll out a piece of tech. Let's use it well, look at the next piece. Use it well, look at the next piece. Your tech stack needs to evolve. If you try to use too much tech too fast, you're not going to be able to take advantage of it, because realize the vast majority of times, the tech not only represents a higher investment, but there's also change involved to be able to take advantage of it. Alrighty, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's share some of our favorite things. So these are 7 of our favorite apps. We are talking about apps. We're not talking about platform. And I'm also going to talk about apps that maybe don't get as much press and noise. There's going to be one exception there. I'll let the listeners figure out which one that is. So I'm not going to be talking about HubSpot or Salesforce or Google Analytics or things like that. Those are obviously very important. They're core, but frankly, you don't need me or you don't need this session to learn about those. So here's our favorite app. Here's our number one. This is the only one that's in order. It is our number 1 favorite app. And I got to tell you, the reason I fell in love with it right away is because the philosophy behind the app falls right in line with our philosophy around play Moneyball, figure out what are the drivers, what are the key components of success, and the key drivers are oftentimes not sexy. They're really built in the plumbing. And if you build better plumbing, you get better results. And so our favorite app is an app called Seventh Sense. What does Seventh Sense do? Basically speaking, they do email send time optimization. So they'll make sure that your email gets sent at a unique time based upon the individual. When are they most likely to engage with that email? And engagement automation so that you can ratchet up or down your cadences, sequences, or rhythms based upon the level of engagement that people have with it. What did we hire Seventh Sense to do? Well, it got hired in our lead management and lead conversion departments. And its role is greater engagement and conversion. What do we like about this app? It is extraordinarily easy to use. It is simple to use, and it's powerful. We see consistently email engagement rates increase by 33 to 50%. Now, with every piece of our favorite apps, I'm also going to share with you a word of caution because, as I said before, fear of missing out is not the reason to jump on the bandwagon, and none of these items of technology are easy buttons. What Seventh Sense will do is it will do a great job of getting your email to the right person at the right time. But email deliverability does not make up for poor strategy. If you've got poor strategy, if you've got poor content, if you're not doing the right things, then you know what Seventh Sense will do? Seventh Sense will cause your emails to become irrelevant faster, right? So good email strategy, good emails, Seventh Sense brings power around a growing issue of email deliverability. Data box. I got to tell you, the thing that I hated about the traditional tech stack more than anything else in the world, and only since we started using data box have we been able to make progress against this. I am a data and metrics guy. You saw that as a key component of our customer acquisition platform. And the problem is you literally had to sign into every app separately, pull stuff together, and then do your magic to get all these different pieces and metrics and insights from different tools that you're using to make decisions. So DataBox is a data visualization tool. They enable you to create dashboards from multiple tools. So now we're able to connect all these different tools to DataBox, and we're able to build dashboards and key metrics from that. What's its job? Well, it's in our lead generation, lead management, and lead conversion departments. And it's responsible for analytics and planning. It's hired so that we can make decisions faster. It brings us insights easier, quicker, better, so we can make better decisions faster. Why do we like the app? Provides real-time reporting. No more run the report, put in your criteria, copy and paste. It's real-time. Moment by moment, we're able to see what happens, and it's a pretty easy programming. I don't want to say easy, but as programming goes for these things, it's easy. It doesn't require a lot of data manipulation to get it working, and it's very easy to implement. The visualization, actually, this is one that we just get to add because they just added a major upgrade. The visualization now is really beautiful. It's a great way to see what's important, to share what's important, and so on. Word of caution here. DataBox makes it really easy to measure things. So you can measure a lot of things. The difficulty is, the danger is, what's easy to measure is very rarely the right thing to measure. And further, when you measure something, every time you look at it, it stimulates the desire to do something. So DataBox doesn't make the decisions for you, but it makes it easier if you've got a good process and discipline to make better decisions faster. Next on the list, Lucky Orange. Lucky Orange does visual website analytics, heat maps, click maps, record sessions, the ability to see how are people really behaving and utilizing your web assets. They're in our lead generation and lead management analytics department. We hired Lucky Orange to increase engagement and conversion so that we can make better decisions about how we're designing and executing websites and what changes to make to drive better results. For example, we get a lot of feedback on our homepage. People say our homepage is too long. Lucky Orange shows us that 50% of visitors that come to the homepage scroll to the bottom. If we didn't have Lucky Orange, we would have cut stuff out of our homepage. We're going through a redesign. We would have made the homepage much shorter, except we had the data because of Lucky Orange to know that people will go. But we also, from the recordings that we get from Lucky Orange, we also are going to be moving some things around and reorienting because we're able to see where people get lost. Easy to use and powerful. By the way, the thing that makes it really easy, you set it up and every page is recorded out of the box. Every page, every instance, every interaction. By the way, if you're e-commerce or things like that, it also protects you from a security standpoint so that the data that needs to be kept hidden is hidden. And Lucky Orange integrates with HubSpot and other tools extraordinarily well. The caution here is you have to have the assets and the ability to address your website intelligently. If you're not committed to managing your website on an ongoing basis, there's frankly no point to utilize visual heat maps. Vidyard, video for marketing and sales. It's been hired to support our full funnel, and it's been hired for 2 jobs. Increase lead generation and lead conversion, engagement time on site, and to reduce sales time. With Vidyard, we have been able to reduce on average 15 to 20 hours of sales time per month. And if you think about it, 15 to 20 hours of sales time is pretty close to a full-time salesperson. When you consider that research says that the average salesperson spends 33% of their time actually selling. If we pick up 15 to 20 hours a month of sales time, I'm sorry, I did the math wrong because that would be a week. But picking up 15 to 20 hours of sales time gives us pretty close to a contributor on that sales side. It really frees up our sales our sales efforts. Very powerful suite built for sales and for marketing. It's one of the things we love about it. It's absolutely built for marketing and it's also built for sales. It's got it's a little bit more complex as a result of that, but it really allows you to use it for the right thing. Caution here, video requires commitment. I don't know what you guys think. I go on LinkedIn. I see gratuitous crappy video every day. I think a lot of these people would be better off if they didn't do that. Video is extraordinarily powerful. Take it seriously. Make sure you've got good lighting. And utilizing dynamic video, the ability to utilize calls to action, pop-outs, and things like that also requires more strategy and effort. So great tool, puts you in a strong position. Make sure you've got the resources, the assets, and the commitment to take advantage of it. Already a very popular tool today, Drift. Drift is primarily a chat or chatbot application. They are adding more and more email functionality to it, moving to become more of a marketing automation platform. They're hired for lead generation and lead conversion. We are measuring them, shorten time to qualified conversation. So we expect to see an increase in the velocity of conversations because the time from reaching our site to beginning to get into conversation, we expect to shorten. And we'll also be measuring that by the SQL yield. And that's the percentage of qualified leads that get to that SQL status. Very powerful tool with a growing application set. This is, heavily funded, aggressive, big mover. I'm sure you've probably heard of them. If you haven't, you definitely want to check them out. Chat is increasingly important. We've just written a couple of blog posts about that as well. If you want to understand why and how should you be considering chat and the key components to that. Word of caution, there's a lot of really crappy chat experiences out there. And when you put chat on your site, you are going to increase the expectation of your visitors. So make sure that you're willing to make that commitment. And good chat requires very strong strategy and very strong process. It is not a set it and forget it tactic. A really young app, very few people that I'm aware of have heard of them. I encourage you to check them out. Atomic Reach. They're a very deep analytics tool for content, and they also provide predictive outcomes. So by really researching your content and digging deep, it begins to identify what are the aspects of the content that drive results. What are the key components to that so that as you're creating content, you're focused on that. It's been hired in our content analytics department, if you will. with the result of getting greater engagement and action rates. We love the app because we love real data. And this is data-backed analysis of what leads to action. The caution here is a lot of data. It's going to share a lot of information with you, so it's easy to get overwhelmed. You've got to make sure you're measuring the right action. If you measure the wrong action, it'll take you in the absolute wrong direction, and you'll do all the right thing. You'll do all the right things and get worse results. And you've got to have a commitment to content. If you're not creating content on an ongoing basis, a tool that's going to give you predictive outcomes isn't going to be all that valuable. And the seventh tool to highlight today is a tool called Trend Demon. Trend Demon provides contextual content recommendations and CTAs. So instead of it just being a set or a pre-ordered other content to recommend, it basically recommends the content based upon what's on the page and what your outcome is. And it's also got some deep analytics around attribution. Its job is buyer journey analytics, driving greater engagement. We like the app because it's got powerful analytics with the ability to solve for specific actions. So we can say, we want to know somebody that gets to this point in the journey or gets to this page or this action happens. And from the time that the person came on, the visitor came on and they were anonymous, we're able to track their journey, time between, and really see how people behave. What was the real journey that got them to the point that we're trying to identify? Commitment to content, and I should also add commitment to setting up and identifying what are the key measurements to be able to get that type of attribution analysis. So it's not the easiest tool to use, but it is a very powerful tool. So those are our 7 apps. To wrap this all up, let me leave you with these final thoughts. Recognize the importance of your tech stack today. Have a plan and build that stack progressively. Don't buy technology, hire technology, and be sure to conduct ongoing performance reviews. Follow these 5 rules, follow these steps, and you will build a tech stack that your competitors will be afraid they're missing out on. You'll be making smarter decisions. You'll see better, stronger, faster results. You'll see faster growth at lower overall cost. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to send us an email. You can email me at doug@imaginellc.com. You can visit our website, check out our blog, check out our growing university of webinars. Any questions about tech, sales, marketing, demand generation, we're here. We're happy to help. As we come to the tailing days of the first quarter, I wish you a strong finish to the first quarter, and I look forward to seeing you on your growth journey ahead. Thanks for joining us today.